My name's Alessandra. Some people call me Ali. As long as you don't call me Ale, I will respond to questions later on. But the reason I'm here today is this is my reinterpretation of the very long title of this session. I'm here to talk to you about data, audiences, and monetization. What we're doing at lastminute.com Group is slightly different to potentially what you've seen before at these events. We've built out a new business that's very profitable for the company. And I'm here to talk to you about how we've done it and essentially a little bit of insights on that. So the clicker's not working. Ah, there you go. So I suppose most of you are aware of lastminute.com, the pink brand. We're turning 20 years old this year, so been around for a long time. Some of you may not know that lastminute.com in 2015 was actually acquired by a Swiss-based travel group that started in 2004 and grew into what lastminute.com Group is today. So essentially, I'm here representing a portfolio of travel companies across Europe that include essentially well-known brands in Southern Europe, Italy, Spain, and more recently, we've added a well-known OTA in Germany that was called Weg.de that we acquired into the group. So a lot of companies, a big, massive growth, and a lot of diversification in the business models has gone on over the years. So we started off as a company, as an OTA, an online travel agent, selling tickets and flights primarily. We added the meta-search business, which is the likes of JetCost is our meta-search-owned company. And on top of that now, and this is where I sort of come into play, we added a new business, the media business, which is bringing a lot of new opportunities to the group. So I'm going to just show you a little storytelling about basically lastminute.com and what we stand for as a brand.
To experience more of the things we'll remember forever that bring us closer together. But we've become busy doing the always urgent at work, busy wasting our precious weekends, busy being endlessly distracted, late night scrolling through your newsfeed. Boom, there goes half an hour. A video of a cat looking grumpy. Yeah, 5 more minutes, busy with that. We think it's time to prioritize the important stuff, not just the urgent. You deserve it. We all do. So be bold and own it. Get out there, whack on the out of office, and get on a boat, on a plane, on a train, or even one of these guys. Get cold. Get a cold one. Get lazy. Really, really lazy. Get dancing. Get to the front. Get horizontal. Get naked if that's your thing. Get scared, stupid. Get life's junk out of the way, out of your system, and do the important stuff, the stuff that matters. So grab life by the and go be yourself. Like him, like her, and them, and those guys. Do whatever makes you pink. Find people like us all over the world. We know, because we probably helped them get there. We believe nothing should get in your way of living, except living.
So as I said earlier, most of you will recognize lastminute.com. We're in the process now of planning a nice above-the-line and out-of-home campaign that you'll see across London very soon. And it's taken us a long time to get to a place where we could actually really own the brand and bring it to market alongside all the other businesses that we run in other parts of the world. So let me tell you about me now. So I run a team called the Travel People. That's me right there next to the E of Travel People. The rest is part of my team. The team is 87 people strong, and what we do is essentially we offer brands the opportunity to engage with a very big travel audience across Europe. And so what we do is we've built out a media division within the lastminute.com Group that contributes a hell of a lot of revenue to the bottom line. And we'll talk more about it. But what I'm here to do is essentially talk to you about how we've done that and why we've done that. So our story starts with, this is my boss. He's the CEO of the company. He likes, so our mascot animal is flamingo, and this year that's what we're going to be showing a lot of flamingos alongside our brand, and that's why he's wearing a pink something jacket. He calls me up. I was at eBay at the time, and he calls me up. He's like, Ali, I have an opportunity. We have an opportunity. I need help. And he goes to me, well, Ali, we've got 45 million people every month coming to our pages looking for travel products. Not all of them buy. As a matter of fact, I think we heard Simon earlier talking about how a large majority of people that come to our retail sites pages don't buy. They're lookers, they're not bookers. We've got the large majority of our audience, our customers, don't really book, or maybe they book the next time. And so basically, the problem was, can you help me do something with that bunch of people that don't buy? And I said yes, and I joined. So I joined in the beginning of 2016, and in June we launched the Travel People, which is out as a B2B brand in the market. This is where we started. So essentially, at the very beginning when I joined, we knew that we had a bunch of people coming to our pages because they were somewhat interested in traveling at some point in the future. Full stop. Very little intelligence, very little knowledge about all of these people. I should actually say all of these cookies, because what we've got as an online player is a bunch of cookies coming to our site, that's the technology behind it, a bunch of anonymized patterns of behaviors that come to our pages. But we didn't have a technology that could actually enable us to do something with this. And that's what we started working on. And now, this is what we've got. So essentially now we know a lot about who comes to our pages, why they come to our pages, what are they doing. We can actually confidently claim that we're the home to a vibrant and affluent traveling audience, mostly city-based. Our travelers are families, singles, friends, professionals. Some of them love music, some others are into sports. We know all of this about a base of cookies that are not logged in, so we don't have a very big login base. We're just observing the traffic that comes to our pages. Now, this is great knowledge, because once you know this, you can do lots of things with it. You can help with personalizing the website and the experience. You can offer all of this knowledge to other brands for commercial purposes, and we're doing both. So our reach. Now, we've got lots of partners, so on top of the 45 million of the lastminute.com group, we're actually reaching out and partnering with a number of other travel companies, which means that actually we see about 60 million travelers across Europe every month, which is pretty relevant. It's probably the majority. And we know that 5.6 million of these are holiday goers. And we know that 3 million of these are young travelers. And we know that 5 million of them are sports fans. And 3.2 million are business travelers. And 3 million are families. And 9 million are couples. And 2.3 million are groups. And how do we do that? So that's all cool information, right? Because once you know some form of information about a cookie and somebody browsing on your site, then you can do something with it. How have we done it? So first of all, I'm going to show you what we do with it in terms of how we take that data, how we take those audiences, and how we then use the information. We use it to power our banners, advertising, media. This is a pure media play. So you see that 3 campaign? That's profiling me as a customer. Going to the lastminute.com site, I fall into one of the category of audiences that 3 is looking for. 3 is looking to engage, in this case, with traveling audiences across our sites. And so we have direct relationships with companies like 3 who pay us to connect with that audience. Now, we do lots of other stuff as well. We're very developed as a media company. So we're doing lots of stuff, lots of buzzwords. We're doing a lot of things around social influencers. We acquired a company called Where Are You Now, a social travel network. We're doing a lot of customization, CMS work, microsites for our clients. We run competitions. So we've taken our e-commerce product and we've actually created a vouchering solution that we offer out to brands. We did a massive campaign in the UK with Walker's Crisps last year, we were on the back of a bunch of crisp packs offering our travel products. That's great. It's very lucrative for us. And we also develop insights for our partner brands. So we can tell, basically, we can give back some of that love and talk about things that happen when campaigns run on our pages. So how do we do that? One of the challenges that we had, and I think companies that are non-digital natives have in an even more difficult way, is the fact that people, customers, are not really always identified as one customer. If you look at this flamingo there in the middle, basically this guy can be identified in all of these different ways with different unique identifiers within the company, within different CRM systems, and basically this causes a massive headache, because if you can't identify someone, you can't really use that data set. Now, the big companies, the GAFs, the Google, Facebook, Amazon, these guys are amazing because they started off with a digital identifier, one, the email, and so they don't have this problem. If you start looking at companies like lastminute.com or the other group companies that we have, there's fragmentation, there's legacy, there's 20 years of work. So it's a little bit more difficult. So essentially what we've got for this Johnny the Flamingo, we've got information about him as somebody who's used a credit card. We know that he's a cookie. There's a cookie associated to this person when they're browsing on our page. We know that if they've booked, we know where they live, we know their email address, we know their mobile number. If they're contacting our customer service, again, we'll have an email address and a mobile number. We'll know where essentially their location. If they're accessing our pages through mobile, we'll know, or through desktop, we'll know their IP, we'll know their basically GPS coordinates. And again, through mobile, we'll have their mobile number. So it's it's a lot of information. If you don't match it up into one identifier, it's going to be very difficult. It will be very hard to do anything about Johnny. Johnny is a cookie. It's a group of cookies that are basically non-reversible, non-identifiable cookies that we cluster up in audience groups. That's very important, and we'll talk about GDPR later on. Now, one thing that's very relevant, and I think it's very relevant to this audience, is the fact that, when I joined lastminute.com group after eBay, where I was doing a similar job, one of the key challenges for retailers is how do you tell the difference between a cookie or person that's coming into your site and is looking and versus the person that's actually going to book? So, you might have 5–10% of people that actually go on and book your product. What about the 90%? That's a missed opportunity if you don't do anything about it. And that's what we're fixing. So we've developed a sophisticated algorithm that basically enables us to predict the likelihood to buy, which means that we can actually, with some form of accurate logic, we can essentially say whether Johnny the Flamingo is about to buy or not. So if he is about to buy, he gets no media, no exposure, or very little exposure to our media products. If he's not about to buy, then we show him or her a media product. And so this is our way to protect the e-commerce business and coexist as partners with our lovely product guys who don't really like sometimes having things that are not driving that customer through the funnel, the purchase funnel. And so it's going well. We're actually doing really well. And so I'm going to talk to you about now a little bit more about the technology that sits behind all of this. So it's not technical because I'm not technical. I'm a marketer. So, but there's a very clever tool that we deployed called Crux. It's a data management platform. Crux is a tool that was acquired by Salesforce recently. Anyway, they're the market leader in data management for audiences, cookie marketing, data management. We implemented them 2 years ago, roughly. They sit behind our data layer, and essentially they collect all of the events that happen on the site. They see everything that's happening on the site, and they have a great UX that basically enables us to say, well, hang on a minute, let's cluster up all of this stuff that's going on into audience segments, all the audience segments that you saw beforehand. the families, the couples, the city lovers, the sports fans, the music lovers, etc., etc. So that's the tool that we have. And that tool also enables us to take all of those different identifiers and actually put them together with algorithms and say, hang on a minute, I've got all this online data, put it all together into Crux, make sense of it, and suddenly we can show content on the page that's relevant to Jane, who is 32, who loves outdoor sports and travels twice a year to beach destinations. Obviously, it's not Jane. It's a group of people that look like Jane, and they, it's all anonymized and clearly legally accessible data. But this is the point. So suddenly, a site which in the past, 20 years ago, would have shown the same thing to every single person coming to the page is suddenly doing something a bit more sophisticated, which means that it's cooler and we can drive more people down the purchase funnel, but also we can show more ads that are more relevant, and that means that our advertiser partners buy more from us and we make money and we're happy. So that's the DMP, a nice acronym for you, Data Management Platform, which I'm sure you're all aware of. Now, on top of that, we can actually do stuff with that data, because suddenly we know who Jane is. We can probably, with some form of accuracy, talk about what Jane is about to do. So if I know that Jane travels twice a year in March and October, and I know that she's going to sunny locations where kite surfing is the main attraction, then why not offer her a deal for Fuerteventura? We know that there's kite surfing going on in Fuerteventura, right? So these are very simple inferences, very simple inference-based logics that obviously we work on with our data scientists. Some of them are based on data, basically machine-based algorithms. Some of them are very simple inferences, probably more human-based than anything else. But these simple things can have a massive impact in conversion rates and in the bottom line of the company, both on the booking side, so both on the e-commerce side and on the advertising side. A point percentage on a €1 billion business is a lot of money, and that's what we're doing. We're shifting business through data, which is very exciting. So more bookings. And hang on a minute. Now that I know that Jane is actually interested in kite surfing and she's quite a cool kid, I'm a kite surfer, so that's why I'm going on about kite surfing, I can actually open up a lot of commercial opportunities, because there's a likelihood that flip-flop brands or sunglasses brands or sports apparel brands or, I don't know, sports gear brands will be interested in connecting with Jane and showing her their products. And that means a lot of commercial opportunities, because suddenly we can run campaigns, we can make lucrative profits on this type of activity. So this is a lot of words. What you need to look at is those key stats at the top right. Case study with Gran Canaria Tourism Board. Thanks to 2 profiles. Very simple, guys. This is not rocket science. We actually identified 2 audience groups that they were trying to target. Families and couples. We grew year on year their bookings by 17.5%, and the passenger numbers increased by 12.6% year on year, thanks to targeting. The year before, we were doing a spray and pray, literally showing the same banner, the same information, the same content to everyone. Those numbers at large scale are massive, and these guys are very happy, so we carry on doing a lot of stuff with them. So what does that mean? Basically, we've done such good work over the last 2.5 years that the business is talking about us, about the department that I run, as a separate company. So this is from our annual report 2017. We're actually so relevant, we drive 40% of the company's EBITDA, because media is a very high profit business. And so essentially, we sit alongside Meta, OTA, the OTA and the Meta business, and we provide solutions to brands and partner with essentially brands who are looking for advanced media and marketing capabilities in the travel space. So it's very cool. We've done a lot of work, but definitely very exciting. So now, because we've maximized the opportunity on our pages, what we're doing is we're spreading a bit of the love. So we're going out to other players, other travel players, other e-commerce players for that matter, and we're telling them, hey guys, do you want to do the same thing? Because we know how to do it. We know it's difficult. We understand the difference between a looker and a booker. We've done it. We've dealt with all the difficulties with the product teams and so on. Do you want to do it with us? So we've signed up a few early publisher partners, early e-commerce partners, such as Rough Guides, VRL, and many others are coming on board now. Some American companies we're talking to at the moment. And it's very exciting times because suddenly we can essentially grow our reach, grow our audience, so become much more relevant for advertisers. And our ambition is to become the place for essentially brands to connect with a traveling audience. Of course, sitting on a lot of travel data. So this is just a case study with Rough Guides. I'm sure you all know Rough Guides. They're a very well-known player in travel. And essentially, we activated 3 things with them: advertising, content, and an affiliate deal. So what we started, basically what we set out to do in January was, we're going to bring you more money, Rough Guides. So we implemented our essentially advertising solutions, advanced programmatic, data-driven, lots of buzzwords, but that's what we do. We use a lot of programmatic tools to make advertising relevant. And we've also got a very fancy content deal where we do some cool stuff for brands in collaboration with Rough Guides. And on top of that, we actually distribute their Rough Guides content on through our channel. So a lot of opportunities here, and it's very interesting to see that actually the revenues are growing 50% month on month. So, you know, we're on a steady growth trajectory. We're doing very well, and we're very excited about this, and they are too. So they're, you know, I won't read all of this, but Charlie is our good friend, and he's saying, give me more, basically. I want more. And so we're looking at, you know, where can we add more media placements? What can we do with that data? How can we monetize that data? How can we essentially maximize the opportunity that we have working in a partnership with, within the travel space? And last but not least, and I am 8 minutes early, so you'll be happy to know, I think a small point around GDPR is very important because everybody, I'm sure in this room, has heard about this thing that's coming. It's coming very soon. I think it's positive news because, of course, we're aligning to GDPR, and all the tools that we use are compliant with GDPR requirements. We're waiting to see what will happen with the e-privacy regulations that are still sort of a little bit undercover. But the point is that I think in order to be relevant, you need to be transparent, and there's a partnership that needs to happen between companies and customers. So enabling people to port their data, enabling people to manage their data is very important because the data ultimately doesn't belong to the company. It belongs to the people that generate that data, to us. And so this is actually really good news. It's going to be a bit of a headache because you know, trying to understand how this regulation actually works and how to implement it is not banal. It's very difficult. We have a massive project with IT at the moment on this to implement this beautiful new thing that I'm sure you're all aware of. So, but yeah, I thought I'd spend just a few words on that. So with that, I think I'll close with a flamingo. And thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have any questions.
Well, Ali, that's got my mind buzzing, I have to say, with lots of possibilities. I'm now trying to work out how to do that on my website, which is slightly ludicrous, but there we go. Done. Does anyone have any questions for Ali? Hands up? Anybody? No? Okay. In which case, I get to ask one of mine. That's always a nice thing. Now, you mentioned that your area of the business is now responsible for 40% EBITDA of the business. To the layman, that means you're 40% of the profit of lastminute.com, doesn't it? In but a couple of years, this has grown. So this is a huge opportunity, isn't it, for any business with large web traffic?
Yes. Media is a profit, very high profit business. We run on about, my business runs on about 70% contribution. So that means that basically of the revenue, 70% is cashed in.
Whoa.
Yeah, because the running costs are very low. We use technologies that are essentially SaaS technologies. They're Google tech. And what we're doing is the know-how and the data. So as e-commerce players, you guys are sitting on a mind. It's just it's so exciting. You're sitting on such cool data that actually Google and the likes don't have because they don't sell products. Not all of them, at least.
Yeah, an extra there. Hands up, who would like a 70% margin in part of their business? Just a few, and some laughter as well going on there. Okay, it was an obvious question. Do we have a question from the audience? Oh, we do now. We've got a lady at the front, just here, right in the centre.
Hiya. So I think I saw you last year talking about personalised messaging and distributing content through programmatic. What you've done now in seemingly a year's time, do you see that as a natural progression for a business, going from serving personalized messages to your customers into full personalization? And if so, what were the main enablers or the main challenges you saw within the business itself to go there?
Well, I think we all have to start thinking about making our experience a little bit different depending on who's viewing, because I think that's what people expect. I mean, when you go on to one of the big guys, you're going to get a customized message. You're going to get something that tries to infer what you're doing next. I mean, we've got talking fridges in a minute. This is where we're going. So whether I like it or not, that's a different point. But I do think that it's a necessity because the companies that don't do it will be left behind. And actually what this is doing is it's helping us with yield management because we're wasting less. So the more precise you are in talking to your customers and talking to this audience of non-logged in, because that's the challenge we have. We have the majority of our customers don't log in, that's travel. And so doing something with that audience, whether you use it for media or whether you use it for other purposes, which is simply personalization to drive through down through the funnel, you've got to try and do something with that audience, particularly if it's a 95% chunk of the people that you buy to come to your site through very expensive AdWords.
Okay, do we have another question? We've got time. No, okay, it's okay. I've got one. It's all right, guys. I will make it up for everybody. There is obviously huge potential for this. Is there a traffic volume you need to have to your website before it's worth implementing? Or is it, even if you've only got, say, 2,000 visits a month, it's still worth exploring this avenue?
So it depends at what level of sophistication you want to push this, right? So obviously, if you're going to implement data management platforms or sophisticated tools that actually do all the jazz that we do, you probably need to be of a certain size because these tools are very expensive. So, we're talking about, stuff that costs. Yeah. There are free tools out there that Google offers that pretty much anybody can plug in. The challenge is using those tools in a way that doesn't have a negative impact on your business, particularly as e-commerce players. Because if you're just a content player, then anything is fair game. But if you're trying to sell a product and push people down a funnel, then you want to make sure that you're telling the difference between a looker and a booker, and that's where we come in as experts. And
so we're talking tens of thousands a month to get the looker booker, would you say?
Well, you need a team that actually can look at your data and develop a data model that actually can say whether somebody's a looker or a booker. So it's more an organizational question rather than a traffic question, I would say. But
cool. Well, you know a lot more about it than I do, so I think I'll take that as good advice. Okay, thank you. Do we have another question from the audience? We were just trying to work out how we can make money off that 96% who aren't buying. Yeah, all the cogs are working. I've got a feeling you're going to get lots of people coming up to have a quiet chat with you on the side. Yeah, I can even see some heads nodding as I'm saying that.
With pleasure.
Okay, well, if there's one more chance for a group question. No? Okay, in which case we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Alessandra. You've been brilliant.
Thank you.